Live from Southwest Florida's news leader, this is Wink News at 6.
Now at 6, a police department in disarray.
We had a total breakdown in senior leadership in the department.
Wink News with exclusive access, getting you answers. Can Fort Myers police protect you and crack down on criminals?
We could have done better. We should have done better.
Brand new at 6, Wink News asks the tough questions.
Where does the buck ultimately stop? Is it you as mayor, or is it the city manager or the chief?
All new at 6, Wink News sits down exclusively with two of Fort Myers' top leaders.
We're pressing to find out how the very officers who are supposed to protect you could be allowed to break the law. Interviews with 200 officers detail a department filled with favoritism, distrust, and burnout. An independent review of the department also found allegations of officers tipping off criminals so that they could escape handcuffs.
Mayor Randy Henderson says he's sickened by those allegations, but he admits he still hasn't read the entire report. Only Wink News anchor Corey Lazar sat down with Mayor Henderson for an in-depth discussion on ways to fix the department.
Were you surprised at all of everything that it found?
Either just before the report or about the time it came out is, our chief announced that that he was going to put some officers on leave. I'm concerned about that, and that was something that it made my head turn.
I want to read you a quote from page 7 of this report. It says, interviewees reported instances in which officers allegedly leaked information to drug dealers regarding search warrants. It does not appear that these matters were ever addressed in the department. Even those accusations, as mayor, how does that make you feel?
Well,
leaks to drug dealers.
The first thing that I feel is anger. This is a professional operation. We have high integrity and high standards. Why aren't we executing in that way? We do not support the kind of assertions that have come forward in this report.
Where does the buck ultimately stop? Is it you as mayor, or is it the city manager or the chief?
We have 2 employees, a city manager, city attorney. Our job is to hold them accountable unless we have information that suggests otherwise.
But didn't it ever make you think all the high-profile cases that were never able to get solved, sitting up, in council, did it ever make you think, what is going on here? Why can't they solve these cases?
Yeah, well, it would come to mind, but honestly, that's everywhere.
And I want to go back to the Andrew Faust case. Do you ever think back, if our department was performing better, could that boy's killers have been caught and punished?
Well, when you look at a report that asserts these kind of things, and that begs the question. And I think the answer is yes. We could have done better. We should have done better. When you hear these kinds of assertions made, you're saying to yourself, we had a total breakdown in senior leadership in the department.
Mayor Henderson says he will thoroughly examine the report this weekend. He says his top priority is to find all the facts and improve the police department. Well, that's welcome news to many in the community who say what came out in the report is what they suspected all along.
There have always been, crooked things goes on.
I think the report says it. There was a culture of denial. And there was an over-dependency on statistics that were massaged to paint a picture and a reality that did not exist in the communities and the neighborhoods.
Chief Derek Diggs has already started a community engagement initiative. People Wink News spoke with today say they believe the chief is moving the department in the right direction.
More exclusive coverage here, all new at 6. Wink News just talked to the city manager for the first time since that report came out. He says he's happy with it because it lets him know what needs to be fixed. Wink News reporter Adam Wright live outside City Hall now. So Adam, what else did he say?
Well, Chris, he said that he and Chief Diggs are working hard to bring about change. Now, I asked him if he could describe his reaction to this report in one word. I thought maybe he would say worried or troubled, but instead he said relief. Remember, Kazemi only took over as city manager a year ago, and he says this report, which he ordered to have done, helps give him a roadmap moving forward. Now, he did not want to talk much about the serious allegations of misconduct by some officers mentioned in the report. He said instead that's the chief's job to look into, and he said Chief Diggs will fix it. I asked Kazemi what he's doing right now as city manager to make things better.
I'm looking at the plans for the next 4 years. What this report told me to do in the next 4 years, 4 to 5 years. I'm working on that plan right now. And there is a cost involved, and that's what I'm looking to see how much it's going to cost and how am I going to budget for that cost and how I'm going to implement it. Yes, I am working on it, and I'm going to pretty soon present that to the council.
Kazemi said one of the items in his plan is to add more police substations to certain areas of the city. He also said they're already working on hiring more officers. We'll have more on our interview with City Manager Kazemi later tonight on the Wink News Night Beat. For now, we're live in Fort Myers. Adam Wright, Wink News now.
Adam, thank you. The fallout from this report is far from over. Wink News is committed to complete coverage. Count on Wink News for more exclusive coverage on air and online.
Let's get you live now to Lehigh Acres. Neighbors say this is a scene of a shooting on West 12th Street. This is about 2.5 miles east of Sunshine Boulevard. What you're seeing right now is this on the right is what the scene looked like about noon today. The victim's roommate tells us he is in the hospital in critical condition. A neighbor says he heard the whole thing happen.
Like a firecrackers, pop, 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 pop. And then I looked to the window, I see a car running that way with a couple people in it.
Lee County deputies haven't released any information. Count on Wink News for any updates.
Another small group of demonstrators gathered outside Punta Gorda City Hall this morning. They're holding signs saying things like "Keep our chief," like that one there, showing their support for Chief Tom Lewis. Chief Lewis is on paid leave after being charged with a misdemeanor in the death of librarian Mary Knowlton. Officer Lee Cole is charged with a felony for shooting Knowlton at the Citizens Police Academy.
Mary would have never wanted this. Mary would have never wanted Tom to be held accountable for this.
The group says it plans to hold weekly demonstrations outside City Hall and the police department.
Happening now, preparing an emergency action plan. The city of Immokalee wants to help its immigrant population be ready for a possible increase in deportations. Wake News anchor John Carlos Estrada is live in Immokalee to explain.
That's right, Lois. The Immigration Emergency Action Plan has taken place right behind me. The doors opened about 30 minutes ago here at Our Lady of Guadalupe here in Immokalee, and we've seen about 100 families come through those doors, and they want to get more information on what they do if they encounter an immigration official. But the main thing about this event is to be prepared. Focus on immigration in D.C. is having an impact on Immokalee, a mostly migrant community in Southwest Florida.
They are afraid. They say, well, I try to don't walk around. I'm really scared to be deported and leave my kids alone and in these countries and never see them again.
Yo tengo miedo. I'm afraid because all my life, in their life, my kids been here. For 14 years, we got used to living here.
Week News spoke to one woman from Mexico. She didn't want to show her face on camera because she didn't want to make herself a target, but says she is getting an emergency plan ready for her 5 children.
Desde ahorita ya tienen miedo, tanto de salir de la casa. They ask me, what happens if we get home and you're not there? What do we do? With who do we stay? We don't want you to leave. We want all of us to stay together.
Social worker Maria Vega of Guadalupe Social Services says she wants for her clients to be ready for anything, but also continue on with their lives.
Try to live the normal life every day, but be prepared.
The immigration meeting ends in about 30 minutes, but they will have a Q&A session with legal aid lawyers in this white tent right next to me, and they just want to get some more answers to all those questions they have about this new immigration policy coming from the White House. Reporting live in Immokalee, John Carlos Estrada, Wink News Now.
All right, thank you very much, John Carlos. FGCU received a major donation today. The $10 million gift is the single biggest from an individual in school history. Philanthropist Dr. Elaine Marab will give the college money to the College of Health and Human Services over the next 5 years. Wake News talked to a student who is able to graduate because of the doctor's gift.
It gives me the opportunity to finally achieve my dream of graduating college. Like I said, I will be the first one in my family to achieve this goal, and this scholarship makes this dream become a reality.
The College of Health Professions and Social Work is now the Elaine Marab College of Health and Human Services.
And this is all new in just the last 90 minutes.
Come here. Come over here. Look at you. Oh, look at you. Oh, my Fred. Oh, my God.
Fred is reunited with his owner, Dave. Wink News told you a few weeks ago about how Fred, the dog there, got out when they stopped in at the bottom line here for the usual Friday afternoon social call. He was returned to the rescue where Dave Cunningham had adopted him because he hadn't updated the dog's chip. The rescue said Cunningham didn't deserve the dog back because he had violated his adoption contract. A lot of you, including a lawyer, volunteered to help, and this is the result.
I know, I was like, I gotta harness the energy of that tail.
Yes.
Man, he was happy.
And all the smiles, right?
Yeah. A sickness so severe that at times she can't get out of bed.
You just sometimes ask God to take you.
The debilitating pain comes at a debilitating cost. Her fight against drug costs, all new on Wink News at 6.
Low clouds will start the day, but the weekend will feature sunshine. I'll tell you what to expect.
We're in a freaking tornado right now.
Holy crap, man.
1 year ago today, 2 tornadoes tore through Charlotte County. This one in Murdoch ripped part of the roof off the SunTrust building. In Deep Creek, video from the Wink News drone shows just how bad the damage was. This is the second twister that damaged homes. Tonight, Wink News reporter Morgan Francis returned to this neighborhood to find out if things are back to normal now.
Driving through the Deep Creek neighborhood in Punta Gorda, you might not be able to tell a tornado ripped through the area exactly 1 year ago.
For a while it looked real messy, and over time it just totally restored and it's back to nice and clean.
The past year has put a strain on Gerald and Barbara Otten.
It took a while to get over the shock of losing basically most of your house. The total loss in the house was about $270,000.
The Ottens were caught in the middle of a battle between their contractor and insurance company, delaying their home recovery.
I'm frankly not sure if it's all over. I think there are still some items and disputes between what the contractor has done and what they paid for in the insurance company.
Wink News visited the Ottens immediately after the tornado. The difference of a year is like night and day.
We don't have to have perfection, but you know, there's going to be constant reminders.
One of those reminders, a painting Gerald created that now hangs on a wall once peppered with insulation.
Where I could put it to rest now, officially it's behind me, but still it was a day in our life that really shook us up.
Morgan Francis, Wink News Now.
And Wink News is Hurricane Central. After Hurricane Charlie made its unexpected turn, the Category 4 storm destroyed a lot of Charlotte County. 13 years later, the man largely credited with restoring that area is hanging up his hat. Co-workers hosted a going-away party today for Wayne Saladay. The emergency management director is well known for being the calm in the storm. He's retiring after 3 decades in public service.
This is my community. I grew up here. I graduated from high school here. And so it means a lot more to you when you're so invested in the community.
And Saladay says his final message to Southwest Florida is to pay attention to storm watches and warnings because they could save your life.
Always good advice. Storm season won't be the same without Wayne around. We wish you the best.
Yeah, wish you the best in your new adventures, Wayne.
And we don't have any storms to talk about right now, which is great.
We do not. We have a pretty good looking Friday evening developing across Southwest Florida. Let's take a look at temperatures, and they are in the low 80s or 70s, depending on your spot right now. Immokalee's at 81 degrees, while Cape Coral 76, relative humidity 77%. Naples 74, 85% relative humidity with an onshore breeze at 9. Cloudy this morning. If you're up early, I'm sure you noticed that deck of clouds finally breaking up, and we've had some sunshine from the late midday hours to present time, and there you have it. It's looking mostly clear to partly cloudy across Southwest Florida right now. In your evening planner at 7 o'clock, not too long from now, 76 degrees. It should be mostly clear at 9, 71 degrees, and at 11 o'clock, 68 degrees outside, so temperatures continue to run a little bit above average for this time of the year. Clouds returning in the morning, 7 a.m. Saturday. Some low clouds, some hazy conditions maybe even some patchy fog in some northern communities. And then as the day develops, sunshine comes through, clouds break up a bit, and we'll look for some sunshine with partly cloudy sky and an onshore breeze for most of Charlotte, Lee, and at least western Collier County. And here it is in your boating forecast. Northwesterly at 5 to 10 knots, 1 foot offshore. A light chop over some of the more exposed bay areas. Others will be mainly smooth from time to time, so not a bad power boating weekend. The Gulf water temperature is at 72 degrees. Waking up to temperatures in the 60s. LaBelle 63 for your low. It'll be a low of 63 Lake Placid. Lehigh Acres at 62. Fog, haze, low clouds early in the day, giving way to sunshine by the midday hours and then by the afternoon. Warm again, high temperatures near 80 degrees along the coast, low 80s in town. A Gulf breeze at 10 to 15 miles per hour with partly cloudy sky. All right, here's how it looks. Get ready for some warm weather developing later next week. But for now, let's concentrate on the weekend. Tomorrow is Saturday. Clouds in the morning, then becoming partly cloudy in the afternoon. Here's future track. No rain indicated at all for your Saturday. Weak front is nearby Sunday, which right now is looking like a very sunny day. May have some morning clouds, but they shouldn't last long. Lower humidity coming in on a northeasterly breeze and an 80-degree Sunday coming to southwest Florida. Then temperatures pop into the mid-80s, 85 degrees Monday. 86 on Tuesday, 85 degrees on Wednesday, and temperatures stay in the low to mid 80s Thursday and Friday.
All right, thank you, Jim. All new on Wink News, it's a modern-day case of David versus Goliath. A local woman is fighting for her quality of life and for cheaper drugs. Soon, she'll travel north
and share her story with the Food and Drug Administration. Wink News reporter Jessica Alpern tells us how this could help anybody struggling to survive.
Sharon Dill is fighting for access to a new and better drug. She has a disease called porphyria. Some days the pain is so bad she can't get out of bed. She says the only available treatment is extremely expensive and doesn't prevent attacks. Just 3 years ago, Sharon Dill was at the apex of her career, an executive at Florida Cancer Specialists in Fort Myers and an active person. That all changed.
It's a pain that if it doesn't stop, you just sometimes ask God to take you.
She's describing living with acute porphyria. The American Porphyria Foundation describes this as intermittent acute attacks of illness. There's only one available treatment, and it's costly.
The problem with panhematin is, one, it's extremely expensive. It can cost over $16,000 for one infusion, and you're talking about having it from anywhere from 3 to 14 days.
In a bad year, Dill says she's needed at least 50 infusions. The bigger issue, it only treats patients after an attack. A new drug could change that.
There is currently one drug in clinical trial to actually help prevent attacks. It would be just life-changing to people with porphyria.
Desiree Lyon-Howe is the executive director of the APF. She says in a few days, more than 30 patients, including Dill, will speak before the FDA.
The FDA approves all drugs, and unless they really understand what patients endure, they may not understand why a drug is needed.
The FDA tells Wink News patient input from the meeting could provide important patient context that can support FDA staff as they conduct benefit risk assessments for products under review, advise drug sponsors on their development programs, or identify opportunities for further discussion. Howe says it's important the FDA understands why the existing treatment can't be the only option. She also says it will raise awareness about diagnosing porphyria. The FDA would only be able to review applications for new drugs for safety and effectiveness. The cost of new drugs is set by manufacturers and distributors. Back to you.
You'll hear from Kevin Harvick, who gave Wink Sports some time leading into the Daytona 500. Plus, Gulf Coast got its first taste of the state tournament. Highlights coming up next. Fort Myers won in Lakeland yesterday. The Gulf Coast girls trying to do it today. Andrew Kazee shows us the Sharks state semifinal game against Winter Haven.
The blissful high of making it to the state semifinals for the first time in school history quickly wore away for Gulf Coast the moment they tipped off against Winter Haven. The Blue Devils showed their size and athleticism early by getting several offensive rebounds. And then, of course, this gruesome injury to point guard Maya Justo, and the Sharks were absolutely shell-shocked.
Oh, it was heartbreaking. She's like my sister, and I don't want to see her ever hurt.
But give credit to Gulf Coast. They did keep it a game in the second quarter, but just could not get out of their own way.
I can put up with the pain, and that was bearable. But seeing my teammates struggle and know I couldn't do anything, that was hard.
The final score, 68-41, will be looked at in the box score as an ugly loss. But this season, well, that'll just be remembered as a thing of beauty.
And that was our message after the game. Don't let that have any effect on what we accomplished this season.
If anything, the future is bright for Gulf Coast as they bring back 9 of 10 players for next season. In fact, Coach Woodruff joked with the media after being interviewed, talking about being back here next year. He said, quote, "It's a date." In Lakeland, I'm Andrew Kazee, Wink Sports.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, certainly the future bright for the Sharks. Hopefully Maya's okay. Well, it's a short 3-month offseason for NASCAR. The flag drops on the 2017 campaign on Sunday at Daytona. It's not the Sprint Cup Series anymore. It's a Monster Energy Cup Series. Also, the point system is much different. Races will have 3 segments. In addition to points for the final standings, drivers can also help their playoff position by being in the top 10 when the race is stopped at 2 other points during the race. I got a chance to talk to Kevin Harvick, who switched over to Ford this year. He thinks the new scoring will add excitement.
Breaking the races up and giving the drivers and teams something to shoot for as far as bonus points and things like that will make the strategy calls and the competitors think a little bit differently about how they race at the beginning of the race in order to try to gain as many points as you can.
Mariner and Lehigh go for region titles in boys basketball tonight. Guys, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you.
Let's check out weather. Nice evening. It's going to be mostly clear and dry, starting off with clouds in the morning, then partly cloudy and warm in the afternoon.
Thank you, Jim.
CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley, next on Wink TV.
Have a good night.